Hello, my name is Myra Martinez. I'm a victim advocate at the Bexar County District Attorney's Office, and I'm going to be reading a letter on behalf of Shadow Angel. My name is Shadow Angel, and I have been in LG for 2 years. In that time, the guardians of the children have helped me much in so many ways that I wouldn't be able to list them all. They brought back something in my life that growing up I never thought I'd have: light and hope. Hope that even in my darkest days and darkest hours, things would get better. Hope that I would no longer have to be scared and alone. Most importantly, they gave me my life back. They taught me that I could just be a kid again, as well as the true meaning of family. Growing up wasn't the easiest for me. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you much of anything good about my childhood, as it is all mostly a blur of suffering, pain, and regrets that forced me to grow up sooner than I should have. No child, teen, or adult should ever have to go through that. It was always a struggle and a fight to get through the day, surrounded by fears, uncertainty of not knowing if I would make it to the next day or grade year, or even if I even deserved to make it so far. I was always thinking that I didn't deserve to, that something would happen and I would never get the chance to see that the future had in store for me, if anything at all. When I first met the GOC, I had no idea how much they would change my life. Back then, I was still very reserved and quiet. I had this thing where I could not and would not allow other people to touch me, including my family. I couldn't so much as hug my own mother most of the time. The thought of being touched and the actual action of it could send me into very bad panic attacks. If I was having a panic attack already, being touched would just make it so much more worse. When I first met the officers, it was for an interview. We talked and I picked my road name, but most importantly, it was where I could decide how I would greet members and how I would be greeted by guardians. This was very important to me because I wasn't expected to shake anyone's hand or hug them if I was uncomfortable doing so. I could pick any way I wanted to be greeted, and every single guardian would follow. When the day of my adoption came, they did just that. My adoption was considered an emergency adoption. I was adopted and brought into the family before our end of school event at Flips Trampoline Park, to be exact. I remember in the beginning, everything was still foggy for me. I wasn't fully there in the moment yet. However, after getting my cut and everything else, it was time for me to pick a ride. When you're getting adopted, the guardians take you on a motorcycle ride on the back of the bike of your choice. Of course, the bike was to have a backrest, and they give you a helmet to wear. When it came time for me to pick a bike, I didn't. Instead, I picked a person to ride with. His name is Tex. He was our vice president at the time, and just from my interview and adoption alone, I had come to trust him as well as the other officers. When I went on my ride, it was truly a fantastic experience. This was the first time I felt something I've never felt previously: freedom. I felt so free riding on the back of the bike. It was amazing, the wind blowing in my face, and in that moment, the fog in my mind started to clear away. In that moment, I didn't have to worry about anything. I was free, I was happy. Once the time came for the end of school year event, we all headed inside as other families started to arrive. I remember staying close to my mom, still being a bit hesitant around others. It took a while once I was inside and tested out the trampolines for a bit, but I can clearly remember when everything just seemed to snap into place. When the fog finally completely cleared away from my mind for good, and I learned that I could just laugh and have fun. I was jumping on the trampolines, racing against some of the other kids, laughing and having the time of my life. Towards the end of our little race, I ended up falling, but instead of being embarrassed and quietly going back to my mom like I usually would, I sat there continuing to smile and laugh. I was so much more expressive compared to how I was being so reserved just a few hours earlier. Nearing the end of the event, once we had all calmed down and eaten, I remember Bogsy and Tex were thanking all of us for coming. My mom was even telling me that it was time to go. Before we left, I did something I doubt anyone was expecting. I went and I hugged Tex goodbye. Coming from a girl who previously wouldn't even let my own mother touch without her telling me first, I hugged Tex goodbye. It was such an important moment for me because I knew I'd trust everyone there who I can proudly say I now consider family. During my first year with GOC, so much had already changed. I was coming out of my shell and being more open. I happily hugged guardians whenever I saw them and became more comfortable in hugging others, including my family. Although I still did have boundaries, the guardians have a saying, from victim to victor. And while during my first year, I was able to grow and go from a victim to victor, I wasn't satisfied there. I wanted to do more to help others, like the guardians had helped me. Going from a victim to victor, and now to an advocate. I wanted to turn the pain that once blurred the day and fogged my mind into a fuel of motivation to help others, and who had been in similar situations as me. The time came, I was finally able to do so. My mom was approached by Bogsy and Tex with an opportunity for me to do a KENS 5 interview with Roma. I was of course very nervous at first. With the permission from my mom, the decision was up to me if I wanted to do it or not. As someone who usually works behind the camera, it was very nerve-wracking to be in front of it for once. I knew it was completely possible that I could get recognized by people from school, but the more I thought about it, I realized that it didn't matter to me because I had the guardians, my family by my side. They believed in me. If I could make a difference in at least one child's life, I knew for sure it would be worth it. On the day of the interview, I was still a bit nervous, but I was also ecstatic about being behind the set, how everything ran so smoothly sitting with my mom and with other guardians, including my guardian 90 proof. Once it was our turn to be on camera, Bogsy, Tex, and I went up, taking our seats. When the camera started rolling, it's as if my nerves just washed away. We were just a normal conversation with no need to worry. It was truly amazing, and I knew then it was only the beginning of things I would eventually come to do. While I know eventually I will age out of the LG program, I know that won't be the end of it because family will always remain family no matter what. I will stay and become a guardian because it only takes that one person to pick you up. Knowing that people are there for you, no matter what, to completely change someone's life for the better. I want to be part of that change, to give the future LG a reason to smile like my smile was given back to me. Thank you.